But that leads us into the breaking news of the day coming out of Brianna Morello's Twitter feed, and you follow her work. You'll want to after this. They have arrested apparently 11 Iranians, illegal Iranians in America. And the concern now is that sleeper cells of Iranians who have crossed the border during Joe Biden's infiltration, inundation, what's the word I'm looking for? Invasion of America through his open borders, whether or not now terrorist sleeper cells who have snuck their way into this country are waiting to be activated as a result of what's going on in the world. Brianna, I see you in the backdrop if you want to pop on or activate your camera and mic as soon as you can. There we go. Brianna, how goes the battle?
Good. It's been a crazy day thus far. Obviously a lot coming out of Iran today. We have learning more and more, like you just detailed. But we're excited that DHS is doing its job and taking these dangerous individuals off the streets.
There was a story, I DM'd DHS, not that they follow me on Twitter, a story of some freaking Danish guy, Mads Mikkelsen, who allegedly was denied entry into America because he had a meme of Vance, JD Vance on his phone. I'm like, there is more to this story than a Danish or Dutch or whatever Scandinavian kid getting denied entry into America because he had a meme of JD Vance, a meme that JD Vance himself tweeted. So hopefully I'll get an answer on that. But first of all, before we even get into the story of the Iranians being arrested by DHS, has there been any more breaking news? Has the ceasefire officially come into effect right now, or has it been officially violated yet?
Oh, well, CNN just came out, and again, CNN, so don't credit me. This is what CNN's saying, and saying that, unfortunately, the airstrikes that were led by the United States, I don't know if you covered this part before I jumped in, did not go and strike at the core of Iran's nuclear program. So there's that. They're citing the Pentagon, their intelligence division. So a lot to wait and kind of see unravel there because, again, it's CNN, so I don't want to.
And I'll say this. I'm not looking for I told you so's when national security and the future of the president, who I think is the president of the time, is at risk. The day after, when they struck Operation Midnight Hammer, and Fox News is having a political orgasm at this strike and the amazing, mission accomplished, catastrophic damage. And I'm like, first of all, the next day, members of I don't know if it was Pentagon saying we need to assess the damage, and yet Fox News is saying the night of it's a smashing success. And I was like, this is going to age badly because I was reading at the time conflicting reports that I'm going to miss up the names, but one of them was severely damaged and another one might have only been mildly damaged. What have you heard coming out of CNN? Take it with a grain of sand, but it's what happens in these things. Oh, we didn't get the destruction that we needed. We got to either go back, or now we didn't actually do anything other than prove that we can't be negotiated with. What did CNN say?
They're just keeping it vague. They're just saying that although President Trump has claimed victory and claimed that we've destroyed their nuclear program, we may have just stalled it for a couple of months, that it will resume soon. I honestly, when I was watching Fox News, as a former Fox News producer, my gut kind of was like, oh, this doesn't seem right, because everyone was so quick to jump on the bandwagon and say that we destroyed Iran, completely annihilated their nuclear program. And you wouldn't know that fast if we actually did do just that. And we didn't even know if there was any leakage as well. And I think that was like the big point for me. I was just like, this sounds kind of like, and I hate to say it, but it sounds like propaganda. Listen, just because the guy that I voted for is now in the White House doesn't mean I have to spew their talking points and go with whatever they tell me. You're allowed to ask questions, especially when you're a journalist. So if you're someone over at Fox News and you're just reading what's coming out of the White House and you're just saying what they're saying and you're saying how incredible it was and how big it was, and we could say congratulations to the president and we congratulate him a lot, but still say to your audience that there's a lot we don't know and we're going to wait a little bit before we disclose all this information. I think that's fair and that's balanced journalism.
And what's amazing is, when I put up the tweet, everyone's like, well, what do you know? It's like, I read conflicting reports. Egyptian intelligence was saying it wasn't as devastating a strike as was initially thought. And then people say, Egyptian intelligence, it's worth nothing, except when it comes out that Egyptian intelligence forewarned Israel of October 7. Then people, it's the cherry picking of what you rely on that kind of drives me nuts. But the idea that they could have come out afterwards, like so immediately, and said this was a smashing, catastrophic success before the dust had even settled. Some people were saying, look, we got the aerials and there's no difference between the satellite images, but it's bunker busters and it doesn't create massive craters on the top of the land. It destroys things underneath. But how the hell do you know the night of? The operation was conducted with success, but I had a feeling that that what's the word, jubilism from Fox News was going to age badly. And then it's going to be a question, well, what do you do now? Like, you've kicked a hornet's nest, you have to go back and finish the job. Did you read the reports that there were satellite images of vehicles, like unusual activity around the nuclear facilities in the days before the strikes? And some
No, I
people
didn't
are,
see that.
okay, and I don't know how reliable it is. Some people are hypothesizing that Iran knew it was coming and took whatever was essential out of it.
Yeah, I did hear that too. Yeah, it's hard to tell honestly, right? Because their government's not going to be honest with us, and I'm talking about their government specifically. And so I would say that I don't trust anything that comes out of this right now. I'm hopeful that President Trump is going to end their nuclear program. I just didn't want it to go to striking means. Like I didn't want them to go and attack. That's just me personally. We grew up during these times where we heard weapons of mass destruction used to validate the Iraq War, and we all know how that ended up for us. So I didn't want it to get to a violent point. Now, obviously, Iran's completely embarrassed themselves. I think their fake attacks on the U.S. base in Qatar really proved that they're actually not prepared for war. And so I think it's probably in their best interest now, after being embarrassed, to bow out gracefully on this one. But again, if they are working on a nuclear weapon, that should have every country in this world ears perking up right now. So we'll see how that unravels. I just can't imagine it going well.
So someone referred to it as the Schrodinger box, or a Schrodinger box, that some people don't think Iran had the weapons. And so if you blow up these facilities, then you've blown up nuclear programs that doesn't actually exist. The fact that they had such a lackluster response probably showed that they didn't have that much of a nuclear weapons program advanced to the point of imminent risk. And now Trump is probably, after having done the damage he did, maybe hand forced by Bibi's premature action. He said, we set them back. Now we can actually sit back and not have to worry about escalating this conflict and let Israel and Iran figure it out.
Yeah.
But bringing it back now to the news of the day, let me bring it up. What is it? This one right here? I believe. No, that's Mark 11. Hold on. We'll get to Mark 11 in a second. It was the other tweet that you had, which was...
Yeah. I could go through it right now because I have it pulled up.
Okay, yeah, pull it. I don't want to keep pulling up the Mark 11 one. I'm so excited to get to Mark 11 being a point. All right, sorry. It was that 11 Iranian illegals were apprehended by DHS. Break down the context for us.
Yeah, so interesting enough, this just recently took place where DHS did corner these 11 illegal aliens in and arrest them. And the stories behind it are quite interesting. The pronunciation on these names is very difficult. So I'll just try my best to go about this. But ultimately...
Ribvar Karimi in Locust, Alabama. Okay. I'm more interested in the name of the city. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so apparently he is someone, and this was the big red flag that went off my head when I was reading the press release that came out earlier today from DHS. They said that he served as an Iranian army sniper in 2018 to 2021. He obviously made his way into our country recently. And when he was arrested, he had an Islamic Republic of Iran army ID. That sounds like a sleeper cell to me. I know I've spoken to my sources over at the FBI, a great retired agent, George Hill. He was a supervisor for years. He said that he didn't think that there was really an orchestrated sleeper cell movement in our country right now. This seems to kind of poke a little at that argument, I'd say. There was also another individual who admitted to having connections to Hezbollah. Obviously, that's the Iranian terrorist organization, the proxy as well.
Let me pause you there, because I'm going to connect a dot and people can choose to think I'm crazy or not. Iranian army sniper. And then we go back to July 13 and the absolute catastrophic, inexplicable security failures that allowed for the perch for a sniper. And had it been this man as opposed to Crooks, who missed his shot, and then we'd be in hot war with Iran right now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Do
we move on to Mehran Makari Saheli?
Yep, so that's the one with the Hezbollah ties. Interesting enough, he is a former member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So that's something also interesting to note as well. There was another suspect too who just came out recently in that lineup that I have, where he's also being accused by potentially, I think it was DHS, of having ties to terrorism. Now there's nothing really specific there. But again, that's just one thing to remember. And then the rest of them are all individuals who at some point threaten ICE agents, which I think is interesting, right? Because the one female that was arrested, Lynette is her first name. She threatened to open fire on ICE officials if they entered her home. Then she said she would go outside and shoot ICE officers in the head. That's according to DHS. So there's a lot of things here that are very, very interesting. These people appear to be violent. They appear to have possession of firearms, which, again, if you're not a U.S. citizen, you shouldn't have possession of firearms. So I think it's interesting that this all happened. Now, a lot of these individuals, we don't know when they came into the country. One of the suspects was actually arrested. You can see here in his image, his image that they've used in the press release. He's got a gun, a handgun, in his pants.
This is that's what I was looking at right here. I couldn't tell if that was a gun or an iPhone. I'm not trying to be funny. So
Yeah, it's a
this is
gun.
a gun. And this guy right here looks like he has a black eye for whatever the reason, or maybe it's just a birthmark. So
Yeah,
do
yeah.
we, based on the reporting now, is it known whether or not there's any connection between the 11 of them?
Nope, they haven't said so. And I actually reached out to DHS, so I wanted to know what sparked their interest in getting these 11. And they wouldn't give me specifics. I did ask them if they thought they were sleeper cells specifically. They did not answer that question. I asked them if they had any kind of connection or was there any type of similar, like a type of relation between all of them. And they did not answer that specifically. They just pointed me back to the press release. So we don't really know much. But I would say, based on the timing of all of this, that it's safe to say that they probably had some feelings about these individuals. And that's the reason why they prioritized arresting them. But again, I mean, we sat there and saw hundreds, thousands of people from the Middle East flood into our country during the Biden administration. I could only imagine these numbers being significantly higher. And then also keep in mind, right, the Mexican cartels, they all knew how to push these people into our country where it would keep Border Patrol busy. And then there would be other areas of our border that would be unguarded. I can't imagine the individuals that they snuck in through those areas. It's going to be serious. It's concerning, obviously. I'm very, very worried. But my FBI friends tell me just to be careful because George Hill told me this. He said, keep in mind, Brianna, when you're seeing the FBI put out a statement like we just did recently, and it says that they're going to be monitoring these individuals who could potentially be sleeper cells, that's surveillance, and that could possibly be surveillance on the American people as well. They've done it in the past, so it could just be an excuse for that. So, I think we're just going to have to see and hope that DHS gets all of these bad guys off the streets, and that's why we should be supporting ICE right now.
What's amazing, and people don't seem to appreciate just how bad and egregious it was. Why would Middle Eastern people be crossing the border from Mexico? Like how are they being funded to get from the Middle East to wherever it is in South America that they ultimately make their way to the border with Mexico? And not just Middle Eastern, China, anyone who's not from South America, it makes no sense that they would find a way the means to travel to South America to then cross illegally via the Mexican border. And it was criminal dereliction of duty, as far as I'm concerned, by obviously Biden, but more specifically, Mayorkas should be, I don't even know if not impeached, indicted.
Yeah.
And killed.